Ohio. We're high on Ohio. These stories inform and inspire through the words of people who make Ohio home. Good news and good ideas, identifying and acknowledging the excellence that is all around us.
So this broad view that you take, how did you get to this point? I mean, what influenced you? What's brought you to this point where you can really speak to liberals, progressives, conservatives, people in the middle, and they respect what you have to say?
Well, I'm not. It's nice of you to say that. Sometimes if you read my Twitter feed, you might have doubts about that universal respect. But there are a couple of things about it. One is, and in the book, at the beginning, in my acknowledgments, I talk about this. I had some great American history teachers in high school who made me fall in love with American history, who encouraged me to read, and a bunch of other students, but they particularly got to me. Some of the great books about American history, Richard Hofstadter, for example, whom I actually have some disagreements with in my book, but I hugely admire. And so that's a piece of it. I grew up in a very politically diverse family. And our whole, the extended family, well, at every family gathering, it was often one long-running argument about politics. But these weren't arguments among people who hated each other. We all loved each other and cared about each other. And yet we could have these political disagreements. A story I've told often is of my dear Uncle Ray, who is an ardent conservative. We spent 35 years arguing about politics, but his kids knew how much I loved my Uncle Ray and very kindly asked me to do the eulogy at his funeral. And in the middle of the eulogy, I made a point of quoting Richard Nixon. And I did it, as I explained at the time to the folks in the church, partly because I liked the particular Nixon quote, which was a play on Teddy Roosevelt's man in the arena quote, the person willing to take risks. And I said that applied to my uncle, but also I said I hoped that by quoting Richard Nixon, my Uncle Ray would want to come back to life and rise out of that casket just to tell me I knew you'd be quoting Nixon someday. But I don't like, even though I get fierce sometimes in my column about forms of conservatism that I find objectionable, particularly on issues for me that affect low-income people, where I really do think we are a better country when we think about people who are down on their luck. Nonetheless, I was raised to sort of not to judge people by their politics and to care a lot about people I disagreed with. And so, as I say, I sometimes sin against this myself, but it's an aspiration I have that we shouldn't have quite the degree of hatred that we seem to have in our politics now.